Let's talk about something that can be downright confusing. You're trying to do the right thing for your health, especially when it comes to your blood sugar. You hear cut back on sugar, and the first thing you look at is the fruit bowl. That sweet, juicy apple or that handful of grapes suddenly seems like the enemy. It's a frustrating place to be, isn't it? Feeling like you have to give up some of nature's most delicious foods to stay healthy. Now consider this. According to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, a staggering 48.8% of Americans aged 65 or older have prediabetes. That's nearly 1 in every 2 people. And what's more, a huge number of them, nearly 23% of all adults with diabetes, don't even know they have it. This isn't just a statistic. It's a quiet health crisis happening in our own homes and communities. But what if I told you that the fear of fruit is one of the biggest misunderstandings in blood sugar management? What if some of the very fruits you might be avoiding are actually powerful tools to help you lower your blood sugar? This is the kind of information that your doctor, in a busy 15-minute appointment, might not have the time to fully unpack. If you've been telling yourself, well, I guess I just can't eat sweet things anymore, I'm here today to tell you that's not the whole story. In fact, it's an idea that takes power away from you. In the next 25 minutes, we are going to change that. We're not just going to tell you which 2 sweet fruits can help. We're going on a deep dive to uncover the hidden culprits that are really impacting your blood sugar. And we'll give you a powerful toolkit of simple, actionable strategies to start reclaiming control over your health, starting today. The daily reality of managing blood sugar can feel like a full-time job. It's a constant tightrope walk of checking numbers, watching every meal, and worrying about the long-term consequences. The goal of this video is ambitious but simple: to give you back a sense of control and confidence. We want to replace confusion with clarity and fear with empowerment. To do that, we're not relying on fads or guesswork. All the information we'll be sharing is grounded in solid research and guidelines from trusted American institutions you know and respect, like the Mayo Clinic, Johns Hopkins Medicine, the National Institute on Aging, and the American Diabetes Association. To make this journey clear, we're going to count down the top 10 hidden culprits that secretly push your blood sugar in the wrong direction. For each one, we'll talk about the why behind it in simple terms, share a story you might relate to, and most importantly, give you a clear, easy action step you can take. We'll work our way from number 10 all the way down to the top 2, where I'll reveal those 2 amazing fruits. You'll definitely want to stick around for number 4. It's a common morning habit that sets the stage for blood sugar problems all day long. And of course, the grand finale at numbers 2 and 1 will change the way you look at your grocery list. And a quick but important reminder: I am not a doctor. This video is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice from your own physician or healthcare provider. Please, always consult with them for any questions about your personal health. They know you and your specific situation best. All right, let's kick off our countdown. Coming in at number 10 is something so basic, it's often completely overlooked: dehydration. You might be thinking, what does not drinking enough water have to do with my blood sugar? Well, it turns out quite a lot. The science is actually very straightforward. When you become dehydrated, the amount of water in your bloodstream decreases. This means the glucose or sugar that's already in your blood becomes more concentrated. Here's a simple way to picture it. Think of your bloodstream like a glass of iced tea. The sugar is the iced tea mix. If you have a full glass of water, the tea is perfectly sweet. But if you leave that glass out on a hot day and half the water evaporates, That same amount of mix makes the remaining liquid intensely sweet and syrupy. That's exactly what happens in your blood. You don't technically have more sugar, but the sugar you have is far more concentrated, and your blood sugar readings shoot up. What makes this even trickier is that it can become a vicious cycle. High blood sugar itself can make you dehydrated because it forces your kidneys to work overtime to flush out the excess glucose through urination, pulling precious water out with it. So high blood sugar causes dehydration, and dehydration makes your blood sugar even higher. I remember my Uncle Frank. He'd have his morning coffee, maybe a glass of iced tea at lunch, and thought he was getting plenty of fluids. But he couldn't figure out why he always felt sluggish and why his afternoon blood sugar numbers were always creeping up. It wasn't until his doctor pointed out that caffeinated drinks can actually be diuretics, making you lose more fluid, that he realized he was in a constant state of mild dehydration. He wasn't just thirsty, his blood was syrupy. ... So your action step here is simple and visual. Get yourself a 32-ounce water bottle. Your goal is to finish it by lunchtime, and then fill it up and finish it again by dinner time. You don't have to chug it. Just keep it with you and take steady sips throughout the day. Think of it as keeping your iced tea perfectly diluted. Now, it's important to mention, if you're experiencing extreme thirst that you can't seem to quench, along with very frequent urination, headaches, confusion, or a weak and rapid pulse, these are signs of more severe dehydration and warrant an immediate call to your doctor. So we've covered the importance of what you drink, but what you read can be just as critical. That brings us to our next culprit at number 9. Coming in at number 9 is a trap many of us fall for, because it feels like we're making a healthy choice. It's the trap of misreading food labels and trusting sugar-free claims without looking closer. The food industry has gotten very clever with its packaging. You'll see big, friendly letters on the front of a package that say sugar-free or no added sugar, and you'll toss it in your cart, feeling good about your choice. But often, those claims don't tell the whole story. A product labeled sugar-free isn't necessarily carbohydrate-free or even calorie-free. It might be sweetened with sugar alcohols or packed with refined flours that your body breaks down into glucose almost as quickly as plain sugar. Think of a food label like a newspaper. The front page headline might shout "sugar-free" in big bold letters. It's designed to grab your attention, but the real story, the important details, are often buried in the fine print on the back page, the nutrition facts panel, and the ingredient list. If you only read the headline, you're missing the whole story. That sugar-free cookie might be packed with refined flour, which your body treats just like sugar anyway. One of the most important things to understand is the difference between total sugars and added sugars on the new labels. Total sugars include naturally occurring ones, like the lactose in milk or the fructose in an apple. Added sugars are the ones put in during processing, like syrups and white sugar, which offer no nutritional benefit. My neighbor Carol was so proud because she'd switched to sugar-free salad dressing, but her blood sugar after lunch was still a mystery. We looked at the bottle together. The front said sugar-free, but the nutrition facts showed it was still high in carbohydrates, and the ingredient list showed maltodextrin, a type of processed starch, as a main ingredient. The headline was misleading. Your action step is to become a label detective. Ignore the front of the package. Flip it over and look for two things. First, the added sugars line. The FDA providing the helpful guideline. 5% of the daily value, or percent DV, is considered low, while 20% DV or more is high. Second, scan the first 3 ingredients. Since ingredients are listed by weight, If you see sugar, syrup, or anything ending in O's, like sucrose or dextrose in those top spots, it's a sign the product is high in added sugar, and you should probably put it back. Of course, this is about making smart daily choices. If you find that despite careful label reading and diet management, you are consistently struggling to control your blood sugar, that's a signal to work closely with your healthcare provider or a registered dietitian. They can help you create a personalized meal plan. Being a label detective is a huge step, but even with the perfect diet, there's a silent force that can undo all your hard work. It's not in your pantry, it's in your mind. That brings us to culprit number 8. At number 8, we have something we all experience: chronic stress. It's not just a feeling, it's a powerful chemical event in your body that directly impacts your blood sugar. Here's how it works. When your body perceives a threat, whether it's a real physical danger or the psychological stress of a traffic jam, a family argument, or worrying about bills, it goes into fight or flight mode. This response triggers your adrenal glands to release a flood of hormones, most notably cortisol. Cortisol's job is to prepare your body for action by ensuring you have plenty of energy. It does this by sending a powerful signal to your liver to dump its stored glucose into your bloodstream. Imagine your liver is a warehouse full of emergency energy packs, little boxes of sugar. Your stress hormone, cortisol, is the warehouse manager. When you're calm, the manager keeps the doors locked. But when you're stressed, the manager gets an emergency signal. He panics and yells, "Release the energy packs!" and starts throwing sugar out into your bloodstream, preparing you to fight a bear. The problem is, in modern life, there's usually no bear. You're just sitting in your car or worrying on your couch, and now your blood is flooded with extra sugar that has nowhere to go. For someone whose insulin isn't working perfectly, this can lead to stubbornly high blood sugar levels that have nothing to do with the food you just ate. Think of a man named George, a retired accountant. He was meticulous with his diet and exercise. Yet, his morning blood sugar was always high. His doctor was puzzled until George mentioned he spent his evenings stressing over his investment portfolio, watching the stock market news with a knot in his stomach. That nightly stress was telling his warehouse manager to work overtime, flooding his system with sugar while he slept. Your action step is to schedule de-stress time just like you'd schedule a doctor's appointment. It doesn't have to be complicated. It could be 15 minutes of gentle walking after dinner, listening to calming music, or even just sitting on the porch without your phone. The goal is to consciously tell your warehouse manager that there is no emergency. For more structured help, the Mayo Clinic suggests practices like mindfulness or talking with a professional. While everyday stress is normal, if you're also experiencing persistent symptoms of depression, overwhelming anxiety, or find your thinking is getting foggy, it's very important to talk to your doctor. These conditions are more common in people with diabetes and can make the daily tasks of self-care extremely challenging. Managing stress is about managing your body's internal chemistry. And another key part of that chemistry is the type of fuel you use, specifically the fats. This leads us right into culprit number 7. Next on our list, at number 7, is a misunderstanding that took hold decades ago: the idea that all fat is bad. The real culprit is eating the wrong kinds of fat, specifically an excess of saturated and trans fats. For years, we were told to go low-fat, but that often led people to eat more refined carbohydrates and sugar instead, which we now know is a major problem. The science has become much clearer. The type of fat you eat matters immensely. Healthy unsaturated fats, like the monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats found in foods like olive oil, nuts, and fish can actually improve your cholesterol and make your body more sensitive to insulin. On the other hand, unhealthy saturated fats, which are high in foods like butter, red meat, and full-fat dairy, can make insulin resistance worse. Here's an analogy to make it stick. Think of your cells as having little doorways for insulin to dock and deliver sugar. Healthy, unsaturated fats are like a good lubricant, like WD-40. They keep the hinges on those doorways swinging smoothly so insulin can dock easily and do its job. Unhealthy, saturated fats, on the other hand, are like sticky, thick grease. They gum up the hinges, making it harder for the insulin key to fit and open the door. Your body has to push harder, releasing more and more insulin to get the same job done. That's insulin resistance in a nutshell. My friend's mother, Maria, grew up thinking butter made everything better. She'd cook her vegetables in it and spread it thick on her toast. She had cut back on sugar, but her numbers wouldn't budge. Her dietitian suggested a simple swap. Use olive oil for cooking and a little mashed avocado on her toast instead of butter. It was a small change, but it was like she was finally lubricating her cell doorways. Her insulin could work more efficiently, and her blood sugar control improved dramatically. Your action step this week is to make one smart fat swap. Instead of using butter to cook your eggs or vegetables, try a teaspoon of olive oil or avocado oil. Instead of reaching for a bag of chips or crackers for a snack, have a small handful of unsalted almonds or walnuts. This isn't about deprivation. It's about a strategic upgrade for your health. Of course, managing cholesterol is a key part of diabetes care. If you have high blood pressure or high cholesterol or a family history of heart disease, it's essential to work with your doctor on a comprehensive plan that includes diet, exercise, and possibly medication. We've talked about what you eat, but what about what you do? Or rather, what you don't do? The simple act of sitting can be surprisingly harmful, which brings us to culprit number 6. We're at number 6, and this one is about the danger of the comfortable chair. The culprit is a sedentary lifestyle, or simply put, spending too much time sitting down. Now, this is different from not getting enough exercise. You could go for a 30-minute walk every morning and still be considered sedentary if you spend the rest of the day sitting. And research shows that it's these long, uninterrupted periods of inactivity that do the damage. Physical inactivity is a primary cause of insulin resistance. When your large muscles, like the ones in your legs and glutes, are inactive, they become less sensitive to insulin and take up less glucose from the blood. In fact, studies have shown that even a single day of prolonged sitting can significantly reduce your body's insulin sensitivity. Imagine your muscles are like hungry sponges, and blood sugar is the water they want to soak up. When you're active, even just walking around the house, you're squeezing those sponges, making them thirsty and ready to absorb sugar right out of your bloodstream. But when you sit for long periods, those muscle sponges become dormant and lazy. They're not being squeezed, so they don't feel thirsty. The sugar just floats by in your bloodstream with nowhere to go, causing your levels to rise. Being sedentary is like letting your sponges dry out. I think of my own dad, Bob, after he retired. He loved reading his books and watching old westerns. He'd sit in his favorite armchair for hours at a time. He walked the dog every morning, so he thought he was active. But it was the long, unbroken stretches of sitting that were making his insulin less effective. His doctor gave him a simple prescription. Set a timer, and every time an hour of his movie passed, he had to get up and walk around the kitchen during the commercial break. It broke the sedentary spell and helped wake up those muscle sponges. Here is your simple, powerful action step, recommended by experts at the Mayo Clinic. Every 30 minutes that you're sitting, stand up. That's it. Set a timer on your watch or your kitchen stove. When it goes off, Just stand up, stretch, walk to the kitchen for a sip of water, or march in place for 1 minute while the commercials are on. The goal isn't to run a marathon. Naturally, you should always talk with your healthcare team before starting any new exercise program to make sure the activities are safe for you. If you experience chest pain, shortness of breath, or dizziness during activity, stop immediately and seek medical attention. Breaking up your day with movement is key, and what you do at night is just as important as what you do during the day. That leads us straight into the top 5, starting with culprit number 5. Okay, let's take a quick breath. We are halfway through our countdown. So far, we've uncovered the hidden impact of number 10, dehydration, number 9, misleading food labels, number 8, chronic stress, number 7, unhealthy fats, and number 6, a sedentary lifestyle. What's the common thread here? These are all small, often invisible, daily factors that add up to have a huge effect on your blood sugar. They are also all things you have the power to influence. And by the way, if you're finding this information helpful and empowering, do me a quick favor and tap that like button below. It truly helps our channel and lets YouTube know that this is valuable content that can help other folks in our community find this information. Thank you for that. Now, are you ready for the top 5? This is where we get into the real game changers. The things that can make the biggest difference in how you feel every single day. Let's dive in. Kicking off our top 5 is a culprit that works its mischief in the dark, a lack of quality sleep. We often think of sleep as just resting our minds, but it's a critical time for our bodies to perform maintenance and regulate our hormones. When we don't get enough sleep, it throws our entire system into disarray. Research shows that even just one night of poor sleep can make your body use insulin less effectively, a condition known as insulin resistance. It also causes your body to produce more of the stress hormone cortisol, which, as we learned, tells your liver to release more sugar. To make matters worse, lack of sleep messes with the hormones that control your appetite. It lowers leptin, the hormone that tells you you're full, and raises ghrelin, the hormone that tells you you're hungry, leading to more cravings, especially for sugary and starchy foods. Think of your body's hormonal system as a finely tuned orchestra. When you get a good night's sleep, the conductor is calm and every instrument plays in harmony. Insulin plays its part perfectly. But when you're sleep deprived, it's like the conductor is frantic and exhausted. The cortisol drums are banging too loudly, the appetite horns are out of tune, and the insulin violins can't be heard over the noise. The whole system is in chaos, and your blood sugar pays the price. A woman in a health forum I follow, named Brenda, was frustrated. She ate well, she exercised, but she was a terrible sleeper. She'd toss and turn, waking up exhausted. She noticed that on days after a bad night's sleep, she not only had higher morning blood sugar, but she also had uncontrollable cravings for toast and cookies all day. Her orchestra was in chaos. Once she started working on her sleep hygiene, a consistent bedtime, a dark, cool room, she found it was easier to manage not just her blood sugar, but her appetite too. Your action step is to create a simple power-down routine. For the hour before bed, turn off the bright overhead lights and the stressful news on TV. Read a chapter of a book, listen to some soft music, or take a warm bath. The goal is to signal to your body and your orchestra conductor that it's time to rest and repair. The American Academy of Sleep Medicine recommends adults aim for at least 7 hours of sleep a night. Of course, poor sleep can sometimes be a sign of an underlying issue. If you snore loudly, wake up gasping for air, or feel excessively sleepy during the day, you could have sleep apnea. which is strongly linked to diabetes and high blood sugar. These are important symptoms to discuss with your doctor. Also, be aware that low blood sugar at night, known as nocturnal hypoglycemia, can cause nightmares and waking up confused or sweaty. A good night's sleep sets you up for a good morning. But what you do first thing in the morning can either build on that success or erase it completely. That brings us to a major mistake at number 4. At number 4, we have a very common habit that many people think is a way to save calories, but for blood sugar, it's a disaster. The culprit is skipping breakfast. For people with type 2 diabetes, this is especially dangerous. Research has shown that going without that morning meal can cause your blood sugar levels to spike much higher after both lunch and dinner. One study found that on days when people skipped breakfast, their lunchtime blood sugar levels were 37% higher, and their dinner levels were 27% higher than on days they ate all 3 meals. The reason is fascinating. It seems that the insulin-producing cells in your pancreas, called beta cells, lose their memory after the long overnight fast. They become sluggish and unprepared for the sudden arrival of food at lunchtime. Think of your pancreas's beta cells as a team of firefighters. When you eat breakfast, it's like a small, scheduled fire drill. The firefighters wake up, get their gear on, and are ready for the day. But when you skip breakfast and then eat a big lunch, it's like a sudden 4-alarm fire with no warning. The firefighters are caught off guard, they're slow to respond, and the fire, your blood sugar, rages out of control. By the time they get it under control, they're exhausted, and they're even less prepared for the next fire at dinner. I read a story about a busy retired teacher. Let's call her Susan. She was never a breakfast person. She'd just have coffee and run her errands. She'd eat a sensible lunch, but her post-meal blood sugar would be through the roof. She felt like a failure. Her diabetes educator suggested she try eating just a small, protein-rich breakfast, like a hard-boiled egg or some plain Greek yogurt. Susan was shocked. That small fire drill in the morning completely changed her body's response to lunch. Her firefighters were finally ready for action. Your action step is simple. Never skip breakfast. It doesn't have to be a huge meal. The key is to break your overnight fast with something that contains protein and fiber to wake up your metabolism gently. Try a hard-boiled egg, a small bowl of oatmeal with berries, or some plain Greek yogurt with a few nuts. This wakes up your firefighters and prepares them for the day. If you consistently have very high blood sugar in the morning, even before you eat, this could be something called the dawn phenomenon, which is a natural surge of hormones that happens in the early morning. This is different from the effect of skipping breakfast and is something you should definitely track and discuss with your healthcare provider, as they may need to adjust your medication. So eating breakfast is crucial, but what you eat is just as important. The type of carbohydrate you choose can mean the difference between a gentle wave and a tidal wave of blood sugar. That's culprit number 3. We're in the top 3, and at number 3 is the single biggest source of confusion when it comes to diet: eating the wrong kind of carbohydrates, specifically too many refined and simple carbs. Your body needs carbohydrates for energy, but not all carbs are created equal. The difference lies in their structure and how quickly your body digests them. Simple carbohydrates, like those in white bread, white rice, pastries, and sugary drinks, have been stripped of their fiber. This means your body can break them down almost instantly, causing a massive, rapid spike in your blood sugar. Complex carbohydrates, found in whole grains, beans, and vegetables, come packaged with fiber. This fiber slows everything down, leading to a much more gradual and gentle release of glucose into your bloodstream. Imagine you're trying to fuel a fire to last all day. Simple, refined carbs are like a pile of dry newspaper. If you throw it on the fire, you get a huge, fast, roaring flame that burns out in minutes, leaving you with nothing. That's the sugar rush and the inevitable crash. Complex carbs, on the other hand, are like a dense, solid oak log. You put it on the fire, and it burns slowly, steadily, and evenly, providing consistent heat for hours. That's the sustained energy your body needs, without the dangerous spikes. Think about a classic diner breakfast. Two people order toast. One gets white bread, the other gets whole wheat. The person with the white toast gets that quick rush, but an hour later, their blood sugar is crashing, and they're hungry again. The person with the whole wheat toast feels full and has stable energy for hours. Same meal, different log on the fire. It's that simple. The key is that it's not the wheat or the rice that's the enemy. It's what modern processing has done to it by removing the most nutritious, fiber-rich parts. Your action step is to make one whole swap this week. Instead of white rice, try brown rice or quinoa. Instead of white bread, choose a bread where the first ingredient says 100% whole wheat. Instead of sugary cereal, have a bowl of plain oatmeal. You're not giving up carbs, you're just choosing the higher quality, slow-burning fuel. If you have celiac disease or a gluten sensitivity, many whole grains like wheat, barley, and rye are not for you. In that case, focus on naturally gluten-free complex carbs like quinoa, brown rice, beans, and starchy vegetables like sweet potatoes. And always work with your doctor or a dietitian. Choosing the right carbs is about making sure they come packaged with other beneficial nutrients. And that brings us to the big reveal. The culprit at number 2 is about missing a key nutrient that comes packaged in our first superfruit. We've arrived at number 2. This culprit isn't something you're doing wrong. It's something you might be missing out on. The problem is a lack of healthy fats and fiber. And the solution is our first sweet fruit, the incredible avocado. Yes, you heard that right. Botanically speaking, an avocado is a fruit, a single-seed berry to be exact, and it is a powerhouse for blood sugar control. Unlike most fruits, it's very low in sugar and carbohydrates. Instead, it's loaded with two things your body desperately needs for stable blood sugar: heart-healthy monounsaturated fats and a huge amount of dietary fiber. This dynamic duo works together to slow down digestion significantly. This means that when you eat an avocado with a meal, it prevents the other carbohydrates in that meal from being absorbed too quickly, thus preventing a sharp spike in your blood sugar. On top of that, those healthy fats actually help improve your body's sensitivity to insulin. Think of your meal traveling through your digestive system like a train on a track. A meal high in simple carbs is like an express train. It speeds through, dumping all its sugar passengers into your bloodstream at once. But adding avocado to that meal is like putting a brake car on the train. The healthy fat and fiber in the avocado slow the whole train down. It moves along the track at a nice, steady pace, letting the sugar passengers off at their stops gradually, one by one. There's no sudden rush, no chaos at the station, just a smooth, controlled release of energy. A gentleman in a diabetes support group shared his tuna salad sandwich story. He used to make it with regular mayo on white bread. His blood sugar would soar. Following his dietitian's advice, he made two swaps. He switched to whole wheat bread, our oak log, and replaced the mayo with mashed avocado, our brake car. Same satisfying lunch, but now the train moved slowly. His post-lunch numbers were stable for the first time in years. Your action step is to embrace the avocado. It's incredibly versatile. Add a quarter of an avocado to your morning toast instead of butter. Slice it onto your salad at lunch to make it more filling and help you absorb the vitamins from the vegetables. Blend it into a smoothie for a creamy, satisfying texture without adding sugar. Or make a simple guacamole to have with some raw veggie sticks. Just a small amount can act as that powerful brake car for your meal. Avocados are a healthy choice, but they are calorie-dense, so moderation is key, especially if you're managing your weight. A typical serving is about 1/4 to 1/2 of an avocado. As always, the goal is balance within the overall eating plan recommended by your healthcare team. Avocado is our creamy, green champion. But what about that craving for something truly sweet and juicy? That brings us to our number one culprit and our final, most colorful solution. And here we are, the number one culprit that holds people back from better blood sugar control. It's the one we started with, the fear of fruit, which leads to missing out on the incredible power of our second sweet fruit, berries. That's right, strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, and blackberries. These jewels of nature are so beneficial that the American Diabetes Association calls them a diabetes superfood. The reason they are so powerful is that they defy the all sugar is bad myth. While they do contain natural sugar, it comes in a very special package. They are low on the glycemic index, meaning they don't cause big blood sugar swings. They are full of fiber, which slows down sugar absorption. And they are bursting with powerful antioxidants called anthocyanins, the very compounds that give them their beautiful red, blue, and purple colors. These antioxidants help protect your cells from damage and can even improve your body's sensitivity to insulin. Think of the sugar inside a berry as being trapped in a complex fibrous web. When you eat a berry, your body has to slowly and carefully work its way through that web to get to the sugar. It's not a quick smash and grab like with a piece of candy. The fiber web ensures a slow, gentle release. Meanwhile, the powerful antioxidants are like a team of microscopic bodyguards, patrolling your system and protecting your cells from the inflammation and oxidative stress that can come with high blood sugar. So you get the sweet taste, but with a built-in safety system. I have a friend, Diane, who loves sweets. When she was diagnosed with prediabetes, she was devastated, thinking she'd never enjoy a sweet treat again. She completely cut out fruit. Her dietitian encouraged her to try a small bowl of mixed berries with a dollop of plain Greek yogurt for dessert. She was hesitant, but she tried it. Not only did her blood sugar stay stable, but she found that the natural sweetness satisfied her craving. It was a revelation. She didn't have to live in a world without sweetness. Your action step is to reintroduce berries into your life. Add a half cup of fresh or frozen, with no added sugar, berries to your morning oatmeal or yogurt. Blend them into a smoothie, or just enjoy a small bowl as a delicious, guilt-free dessert. A typical serving is about 3/4 of a cup to 1 cup. While all fresh or frozen fruits are good choices, be mindful of portion sizes, especially with dried fruit and fruit juice. These are very concentrated in sugar and lack the fiber of the whole fruit that provides that protective web. For example, just 2 tablespoons of dried cherries can have the same amount of carbs as a half cup of fresh ones. Stick to the whole fruit whenever possible. And there you have it. Avocados and berries, 2 delicious, sweet fruits that you don't have to fear. They are powerful allies in your health journey. So as we've seen today, taking control of your blood sugar isn't about finding one magic pill or a single secret food. It's about understanding the whole picture. It's about knowing that how much water you drink, how well you sleep, how you manage stress, and how often you get up from your chair are just as important as what's on your plate. It's about becoming a detective with food labels and choosing the slow-burning oak logs of complex carbs over the fast-burning newspaper of refined ones. But the most important message I want you to lead with today is this. You are the chief executive officer of your own health. You are in the driver's seat. The feeling of helplessness that can come with managing a chronic condition is real, but it is not the final word. Every small, intelligent choice you make, sipping more water, taking a short walk, adding avocado to your salad, enjoying a bowl of berries, is a powerful executive decision that improves your quality of life. You have more control than you think. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these 10 points was the biggest aha moment for you? Was it the brake car analogy for avocados? Or the firefighter story for breakfast? Leave a comment down below. I truly love reading them and building this community together. And if you enjoyed this deep dive and you want more well-researched, empowering content to help you live your healthiest, most vibrant life, please be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the little notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. Here's to your health, your vitality, and your power. I'll see you in the next video.